This is the book of Mark, chapter 3, verse 25. If a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Ecclesiasticus, which is the book of Sirach 39 and 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which lay which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Shalom. First and foremost, like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, for his word, truth, and sincere. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, pushing his word, truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, pushing the word, truthfully and sincerely. I say shalom to the Akim out there. And this is a sit-down lesson on this November the 6th, 2022, on this Sunday afternoon at 2:09 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the highlight of this news article reads for Voice of America News.com. This news article was published November 4th, 2022 at 8:41 p.m. by Jeff Sedler. And the highlight of this news article reads, U.S. security officials warn lone actors likely the biggest election threat. Right, because that's why I brought out the scripture. That's why I brought out the scripture, Mark 3 and 25. How a house be divided against itself, how shall it stand? Right, because you're seeing divisions between the people on the left-hand side and the other groups on the right-hand side. That's why you see, the midterm elections coming, which just in 2 more days. And they seeing a potential, a fear of that, the tensions between the left-hand side and people on the right-hand side. And it says the U.S. officials charged with helping to secure the upcoming midterm elections fear the most dangerous and likely threats may be difficult or impossible to detach in advance, that the risk of violence will only escalate once the polls close. The assessments based on intelligence from multiple agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the National Counter-You-Know-What Center, has been shared in recent weeks with states and local law enforcement, and agencies lending increasing urgencies to their efforts to secure the vote. Parts of the assessment also have been sharply publicly included by the U.S. Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agencies, which serve as the national lead on election security. You got these horrible physical security concerns at an unprecedented level. The CISA director, Jen Eastery, told Forum in Washington on Tuesday threats of intimidation, of violence, and harassment against election officials, polling places, voters. The most possible threat, according to a U.S. official who asked not to be quoted and spoke to the Voice of America on the condition of the anonymity because the sensitive nature of the intelligence is from the so-called lone wolf individual who may or may not be associated with an extreme group or decide to act his or her own. Such individuals are likely to be driven by the beliefs of the 2020 U.S. presidential election was fraudulent, as well by the other hot-button political issues, the official said. Likely targets could range from elections related infrastructure such as polling places, ballot drop box, which we recently seen over there a couple of weeks ago over there in Arizona. You had a arms individual or other individuals as well too to fear the citizens that's voting with this upcoming midterm election. Possibly they probably be on the right hand side group versus the left hand side group. That's why I brought out the scripture again of Mark 3:25. As a house be divided against itself, how shall it stand? Because the Babylon states of modern day Babylon is, that division, you know, between two different groups and the nations as well too. It says the likely target could range from the elections related infrastructure such as polling places, box ballot box drops to the election workers, voters, and even political candidates. Events like election day rallies and watch parties, the official adding nothing a decision on which targets to go after come could come down to ease of access. And it says, but much of what has election security officials concerned that is that an extra motivation for anyone leading towards violence is easily accessible. Misinformation for campaign targets. This past week, the CISA warned that U.S. adversaries are using misinformations and other influence operations to entice violence against election officials. The CISA officials and those with other U.S. agencies declined to share any additional specifics, but some researchers have found reason to worry. It says the influence attempts do not directly encourage people to undertake violent actions, but very likely to lay the groundwork and allude to some physical actions. Brian Liston, a senior threat intelligence analyst for the Cybersecurity Forum, recorded Future told Voice America by email. Some of it can be tied to Russia, infamous troll farms, the Internet Research Agencies, the IRA, which had been reactivating accounts on social media platforms, especially to those on the right-hand side, especially those that cater far right-hand side. It says audience has set up a new website to promote allegations over you know what he said. It says the headlines provided on the site recently saying that Democrats will use everything in their disposal to manipulate votes and counting and causing Democrats and burning a mail truck in Georgia containing Republican ballots. It says one image found recorded a future post by the IRA linking accounts under name Laura Burko, future fans, the flames coming. Yes, we are at war, along with the images of former President Donald Trump holding a rifle. The graphic further states Democrats are sworn enemies. Yep, people on the left-hand side and right-hand side. That's why I brought out Mark 3:25. If a house be divided against itself, how shall it stand? So these are the divided states of modern-day Babylon, and that's what we're seeing. And this is another article that I wanted to bring out. And this is from a different topic in a different category. That's why I brought out Ecclesiasticus 39:28. There are spirits that are created for vengeance, because you're gonna have the love of many waxing cold. You're gonna have the people that have that spirit created for vengeance on them as well too, within their own circle and outside their circle as well too. And this is a news article from SureGadzis.com, posted by Philip A. Holmes, reporter. says three trucks from the Montgomery County Coroner's officials make their way down the Peterman Road on their way to the shooting scene of Route 239 Jordan Township on Saturday morning. Where are uh, four people are dead, including the gunman. The gunman confirmed Philip Holmes' son, Gaston, Unionville, Pennsylvania. Four people are dead, including an alleged gunman, following a shooting Saturday morning that involves in at least two different scenes in the area of Route 29 and 118 in Jordan Township, Macomb County. Coroner Charles E. Kessler Jr. confirms around 4 p.m. Officials said state police are only saying they are multiple victims related to the incident, according to a news release. And it says hours after the shooting, which are believed to have occurred around 10 a.m. There are no active threats to the public at this time, police said in the release. Besides the gunman, also killed were three adults, two women, and another man. It says state troopers are dispatched to a female shooting victim, and while in route, there was a report of a man with a rifle actively shooting at vehicles. It says a fire truck and fire policeman Route 239 and Peterman, right, because they shot the suspect while he shot and killed the victims, and he was shooting at random cars and stuff as well too. So I guess the suspect got into a police involved shooting. They killed the man right on the scene. But continue on with the reading, so I just wanted to add that note. It says troopers from both the Mount Seville and Bloomsburg barracks were dispatched since the shooting was just west of Lycoming, Columbia County line. It says upon arrival, state troopers encountered the gunman actively firing a rifle. Troopers fired shots and on the scene was secured. The release said no state troopers were injured, police said. Kessler said he and his chief deputy, Jared Ross, the two other deputies, were working the scene. All four bodies were being taken to the forensics center at the UPMC. Williamsport. Kessler said the Route 239 from Route 118 to Peterman Road was closed most of Saturday. The Sun Gazette will have more on this developing story, what's happened yesterday, when information becomes available. I'll bring out that scripture because there's going to be a lot of lawlessness and the love of many waxing cold as well too. And this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 12, and it reads through the Holy Scriptures. And because of iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, right? The love of many shall wax cold. You know, unfair, unruly behavior, and that's what we're seeing in the latter days increasing. And I believe it was a shooting over there in Philadelphia. Mostly, it's a population, mostly so-called African American. I believe it was like 7 to 8 people had got shot, which is typically normal, especially in Philadelphia, because you expect to see a lot of crime increasing on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, these lawlessness is definitely increasing in the latter days, and that's what we're seeing. You know, we'll bring it out again for edification's sake. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, right? And I'm going to look up the definition of iniquity for edification's sake of this lesson. And the definition of iniquity, a noun, plural, iniquities, immoral or grossly unfair behavior, Right. Origins of Middle English from Old French iniquity, from Latin linquatus, from iniquans, from iniquities. Yep. Yep. It's increasing on lawlessness, grossly unfair behavior. Because the love of many is gonna wax cold in the latter days, you know. And I'm bring out the Second Timothy's chapter 3, verse 1 in the scriptures. And this is the book of Second Timothy, chapter 3, verse 1. This also, this know also that in the latter days perilous times should come. Right, because perilous times are increasing. Perilous times are amongst us, and that's what we are seeing, you know, because it's gonna increase more and more and more, you know. The definition of perilous is an adjective, full of danger or risk. Prime example, reading the definition of perilous. A perilous journey south, exposed to imminent risk or disaster or ruins. The economy is in a perilous state, right? Because that's a prime example. And origins of the word, Middle English from Old French, perilous from the Latin, perlicus, perlicum, danger, right? Increasing, impending danger, and that's what we're living in those days. And we are definitely in those times of increasing perilous times, you know, and it's gonna increase more and more and more, you know. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of the Hawaii Shai. And first and foremost, I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Wakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and a ball.